Hey, this is James Mullen for VFX Nomad, and we are continuing our introduction to Clarisse. So first up, congratulations for still being here. Just a quick side note, if you don't like the fact that it's letting you select stuff from here, you can just turn off the heads up display. And if you wanted to region render, you can click on the region render button here, but then you have to hold down X and then you drag, okay? And then it will just render that region for you. So there's some neat little tricks. And then here, I mentioned briefly in the last one about the 16th resolution. If I click 1/16, that's showing me it's the lowest level it's going to allow me to see right there is 1/16. When you start using this, you often think it's what it's going to render up to, so people tend to click on like a quarter, for example. But if I put this on a quarter, it just kind of sits there and then waits. So a quarter is probably not the best one. So if I go full and I move, you see we're a lot slower than we used to be. It's in fact exactly the same speed. It's just not showing it to me yet. Anyway, quick little side note. Next, we're just going to import a texture and assign it to these ducks. What we're going to want to do is import the texture first off. Right click, new, and then we're going to go texture. And here, so you've got things like your noise and whatever, but we want to import something. So that's called a map. And the map file is the original one. That used to be how you pulled in stuff. It wasn't very good at UDOMs though. So what they did was they made a streamed map file for stream textures. So if you have more than one UV slot, you'll definitely want to use this. I would say in general, just use the stream map file. It seems to be more stable and a bit better just in general. So a map file up here gives you the option of how you want this texture projected. Planar, cubic, whatever. For most things, if you've textured in Mario, whatever, you're just going to leave it on UV. That's fine. And then we go down here, and about halfway down, we're going to see the file name option. So on the desktop, I have in here a duck texture. So we're going to plug the duck texture into the duck shader, hopefully. Here, it's asking you for the color space. So most of the time, well, actually, I don't know. It totally depends what you're doing. I would expect your textures to be linear, but sometimes they're going to be sRGB, so you change that here, just so you know. But by and large, leave it on linear if you've done this properly. We're going to take the red duck here. I'm just going to turn this off for a sec. So the red duck, we're going to call him actually a duck shader. Why not? And we're just going to drag and drop this duck texture into the checkerboard here. Now let's take a quick look at our duck. So here we go. We have our duck, and our duck now has a bit of a texture on it. We imported the material via the stream map file. Here it is. And then we took our, sorry, I've changed the name of it. So we took our material and we plugged them in here. Now, if we're looking at our duck here, we can see that our duck is relatively faceted, like the smoothing's not really working very well. So we'll click on this guy for a second. And if you go back to the original object, so you can always just press this little arrow to jump back. So you can click on here and then click here, and it will take you back to the original object that it's looking at. When we scroll down here towards the bottom, it's asking you if you want to use a smoothing angle, which is probably 90% of the time what you're going to want to do. The alternative would be to subdivide your surface. You can do that here as well, just so that you know that that's there. In my case, it was looking at the normal angle, which I guess went a bit weird when it got exported, but it's fine. All right, so now we have geo, we have a layout, we have materials, and we have a basic light in our scene. So far we just have a general environment light. This is where you would stick an HDR if you had one, but in our case, we're not using one. What I'm going to do in this case is I am going to make a sunlight as well. So this would be your basic turntable setup or whatever. So let's go for a distant light. All right, so to have a look at what these guys are doing, I'm going to turn off my environment light for a second. Here's my distant light. We're going to scroll down and have a hunt for the exposure. There it is. So it's probably at quite a steep angle, but there we are. We got a Nice little backlit dramatic duck. And yeah, there's your angle. So you can give it 5% or something. All right, now we're going to turn our environment light back on. Probably drop it a little bit because it might be a little bit hot. And there we go. So we have a nice little duck. And in this new version of Clarisse, global illumination should be on by default. So in theory, if I stick this duck under the water, you should still see it. So let's drown him. There you go, duck. Let's go look at him. And there you go. You can still kind of see him under the water. So cool, it's all tracing correctly. So we're all happy. Lights wise, just to show you what I mean if you're using the old ones, if we bring in a legacy light lightly, this is not going to do anything in our scene. And then let's change the color just to see. Yeah, so these lights are not transferable, okay? So if you bring in, even though it looks the same, this is a, ooh, well, can't get rid of it either. But if you bring in a legacy light, it's not going to work with the physical based materials and shaders. The same thing the other way around, they're not going to work together. So here we go, we have our image, we have our duck. He's drowning, but he's there. All right, so on the next one, we're just going to take a quick look at how to clean up the render a little bit, and then how to actually get this out of Clarisse.